Welcome to my off-grid adventures. I'm Frank and I'm glad you're here with me today for this tutorial video about how to de-winterize your RV or travel trailer. I'll be demonstrating these steps on my 2018 Keystone Springdale. Things like this, winterizing and de-winterizing your RV, are intimidating, and I believe there are a number of people that avoid even purchasing an RV because of that intimidation, because of the unknown of whether it's something they can even do. Well, you can do it, I can do it, and I was intimidated by it myself. It was one of the reasons that I hesitated to get our travel trailer. But I watched some YouTube videos like this, and I combined all of the tips that I found into my own list, and that list is only 7 things. So in this video, I'm going to walk through those 7 steps, and you might see on your RV a different looking part, but the steps should be the same. So if you look at your manual or Google your particular model of RV or travel trailer, you should be able to figure out what your parts look like, but these steps should remain the same for most RVs and travel trailers. So hopefully you'll find this interesting. And if you have any tips that you'd like to share, something that I could have done to make this process even easier, please share those in the comments. Before we start with the first step, I'll just take a second to put all 7 steps up on the screen so you can see everything that we're about to tackle. And then if you're already familiar with one of the first steps, you can just skip past that and get to the ones that are most intimidating or unfamiliar to you. So let's get started with step 1. It is early May here in Michigan, and I'm recording this both for your benefit and for mine because I've only done this once before, and I'd like to be able to rewatch this video myself next spring or early summer when I have to repeat the process. I don't currently have a water hookup because I'm boondocking in a permanent location on a 60-acre off-grid property, so we don't move this trailer and we don't yet have a reliable water source. More on that in another video. I'm going to be attempting to get a well close enough to this so that we can start using that as a freshwater hookup. But for now, I have to load it with water, and the best way to do that is to fill these 4-gallon jugs that I got from Menards with fresh water, and I'll show you how I put that into the RV's freshwater tank. So let's get started. The easiest way that I've found to get water out of a container into an RV is to use this simple $12, I got it on sale for $7.99, water transfer pump from Harbor Freight. Just put it in there and turn it on, and it's quiet. It's relatively quick, not as fast as the Milwaukee transfer pump, but that's also, I think, over $200 or $300. And I'm not even sure that the end of that particular pump would fit through these caps. So this is, for me, the best solution that I've found. I'm going to go through putting 4 of these jugs in, and that's just to get enough water into the system to do the de-winterizing process. And then later I'm going to put more fresh water in from brand new containers. I'm going to start going with the 5-gallon jug instead of the 4-gallon jug, so I have the handle and can put a little bit more water in each one. When this gets down to below the half, or about a third of the water left in it, I like to tip it a little bit. It tends to push the water through faster because it's having to do less work by fighting gravity. It tends to drain it quite a bit quicker once it's light enough that it doesn't hurt my back at all to lift that up. Speaking of gravity, the reason I have this elevated to this height is because when I had it sitting on this wooden base in the past, it still had to force the water up because this would be lower. When this was down here, it had to not only pull it up, but then continue to force it up. So with less resistance from gravity, it tends to be more efficient and quicker at getting the water out of these jugs. When you're impatient, you figure some things out like that to try to speed things up as much as possible. This just requires 2 D batteries, and they last a really long time. I love how quiet it is. I love how cheap and simple it is. Since I like to have redundancies on the things that are so vital to our lifestyle, I bought a second one of these from Harbor Freight for just $7.99. I haven't needed it yet because this cheap thing has held up better than some of the more expensive things I've purchased in recent history. You're not supposed to let these work and run when the jug is empty. It's not supposed to run dry. But I've left it on for over a half hour before with just forgetting about it, walking away and forgetting about it. And yet here it is still working just fine. Durable little $8 tool. One more jug, and then we'll go on to step 2. Step 2 is in here, so that's why I'm starting to clear it out a little bit so that I can crawl in there and have a spot to bring you along with me. Just what you want. Be stuck with me in a tight space for a minute. Step 1 is complete. Step 2 is to reattach the hose that goes from the freshwater tank to the pump. At the water pump, which for me is right on the inside of the pass-through storage compartment. For some it might be inside of your RV next to the master bed. But in this case it's here, so I can climb in, and there are 2 hoses. One that goes from the pump to the trailer, and the other is taking the water from the freshwater tank and putting it into the pump, which is something that we disconnect during the winterization process. So you just have to push that back in and then push in that blue tab to lock it in place. So now that's all set and ready to go. I missed that step the first time that I did the de-winterization, and it really messed things up. It was complicated to figure out why I couldn't get water. It's because the pump was running, but it wasn't hooked up to the freshwater tank, so it wasn't going to do me any good. Let's take a look now to see how much water we have in the tank, just to know how much we'll use during this de-winterization process. See, we have a half a tank, which should be plenty for the rest of what we need to do. Step 3 is to remove this panel that goes over the water heater, and then remove the paper that I put in just to keep bugs and critters out. And then we have to reinstall this rod back into the threaded spot for it. You need a 1 1/16 size socket for this. I think that's pretty standard. That should do it for step 3. It's that simple. I apologize. I still have things to learn, not only about my RV, but also about how to use my camera equipment. In this case, somehow I didn't hit record, or it didn't save the recording, at least for step 4, but it is a relatively simple one. You just go under your RV and find the low point drain. You loosen that, since it's the lowest point, obviously, of your RV's tanks, and that's where most of your antifreeze is going to be, and you can just let it out the easy way through this. So you take the cap off, let it come out, and then you go into the camper and you turn on your pump to force the antifreeze out even faster. And it won't take very long, just a few seconds, and you can turn that pump off and then put the cap back on. Our next steps are to flush the antifreeze through the lines that are within the camper itself. So we need to do that by turning on the hot and the cold valves on our bathroom sink, the shower, and then we'll move into the kitchen and do the kitchen sink. The pump is on. You can hear it running. And that's clear. Should move the plug. Hot. Wait until it's clear. Took longer for that. we'll go into the currently bug infested shower, and we will turn the shower knob on. We'll start with the hot this time. It's clear. Cold. It's clear. Let's move into the kitchen. We're almost done. Start with the hot. Then the cold. Our travel trailer has an outdoor utility shower, which is very convenient, but you also need to remember to drain the antifreeze out of these too. So let's do that now, starting with the hot. And then the cold. And that is it as far as draining the antifreeze out of the system. We're done with that part. We just have a couple more steps to do and we'll be done. And we will be de-winterized. The next step has to do with the water heater, and we have to turn the bypass off. That's a step that you do when you winterize. And to access it, for me, you have to remove just 2 screws in a panel that's directly beneath the oven. Check your manual to see where your bypass is and what kind of water heater you have. For my setup, it's very simple. All that I have to do is turn this valve here so that this is in the horizontal position. I can't remember if it's left or right. You can hear the water start to flow through there. Now we go back out to our water heater and we open the pressure release valve until water comes out, and then we shut it again. There we go. Took a while. Can't remember since I've only done this once how long it takes, but that's it. Turn that off, seal that back up. Put this panel back on that goes over the water heater. Then we'll turn the water heater on. I'm going to use gas. And then we'll have some hot water for a shower after doing this project. Those 7 steps really didn't take very long, and they weren't very difficult. I hope you're able to see now that this is something you can do. And if you want to get into the RV lifestyle, I hope that you're ready to dive in and join that adventure. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, would you please give it a thumbs up? That really does help my channel. And for more RV content or off-grid content, please subscribe. We'd love to have you join us. Thanks again for watching. We'll see you next time.